Great, thank you, Dirk. So, as most of you are aware, I think all of you have been spoken to by either myself or by another Hype representative. What Hype wants to do is to take another look at our back end, the back end of the application, specifically the concepts part of the workflow. This is an area that we first introduced a couple of years ago, and it's time for us to revisit that and see if we can improve the functionality, see if we can develop it a little bit more in line with what the majority of our clients need. It's a fairly tricky piece of the application because, as many of you are aware, once we are moving to a space where we're thinking about the portfolio of good things, of good concepts we want to work on, there's a huge amount of nuance between organizations. Different organizations want to look at this in different ways. They have different reporting structures, different governance models. Decision making is different. Companies often can develop different things, which all goes to add to the fact that this part of the application needs to be very, very flexible. So hopefully what you're going to see today is quite a significant increase in the flexibility of this part of the application. And what we're keen to do is to get your feedback on this through one of our campaigns. So we are eating our own our dog food, so to speak. So through one of our campaigns, we'd like your feedback on the key and major changes that we're proposing before we actually put it in the product and release it to everybody. So see this as a sort of late stage concept, relatively mature, still open for fine-tuning and adjustments as required. But instead of us just pushing it on everybody, we really want to get our key clients involved and see if we can develop it and refine it just a little bit more. So Dirk, if you can just move on to the agenda for me. I'll walk you through the content for today. So we'll talk to you about the campaign. I've kind of done that already, really. And then we'll hand over to Dirk. He'll talk about the limitations of the existing concept capability that exists in Hype so that you can get a sense of where we're coming from, where we think the challenges are, and hopefully that puts into perspective the new changes that we're making. Then Dirk will walk us through the major areas of change. So we'll look at concept templates, how we manage concepts and business case templates, the concept workflow itself, the business case workflow, and how we're going to display concepts and business cases within the campaigns. There'll be plenty of time for questions. Equally, as I mentioned before, if you have a question, please just put it into the chat window. If you don't want everyone to see, please just send it just to myself and Dirk. Or you can also send it to everybody, and what we'll try to do is, if it fits in terms of the process we're going through, I'll raise it as we go. If it doesn't fit, then we may just push it to the end. Every question that you ask will get an answer though, so even if we don't get time to today, we will make sure that we come back to you with a proper answer and include those in the campaign that we're running online. We'll have a session on reporting based on concepts and business cases. We'll talk about how to participate in the actual idea campaign that marries this towards the end of the session. So for those people that are late joining, we're going to walk you through the full concepts today. Then we're going to tell you about a link for the online campaign where you'll be able to go and look at in more detail at the major functional changes that we're making and provide comments and feedback and your own ideas, if necessary, on how we can better develop that particular area of the functionality. And there'll be Hype people asking you clarification questions and hopefully getting even more information out of you as we go through. And any questions, please just put them into the chat window. So, Dirk, if you want to move on a slide. And one more. I'm going to hand over to Dirk now. As I mentioned, we think there are some limitations, and that's based upon feedback from our customers, from you guys, and we really appreciate you being proactive in helping us make this as good as it can be. As I mentioned earlier, one of our major challenges is there are so many differences in the way that different companies address this particular capability. We want to build in a lot more flexibility than's ever been there before, and we want to make sure that's going to suit the majority of our clients' needs. So we've handpicked you specially as people that we trust, who are always welcome, or whose feedback is always welcome, and we think you see, Hype's business for what it is, and we like to work as a partner. So I'll hand over to Dirk, and in that spirit, perhaps he can start talking to you about where we see the major obstacles and challenges in our current functionality.
Okay, thank you, Colin. So I think before I start, I would like to mute everybody because there's some static in the line, and let's see if that works out to solve it. I hope you can still hear me. If not, please type something in the chat window. Okay, perfect. So yes, to start with, I would like to take a look at how the concepts are implemented in oh, okay. Is it better now? So that there was a message in the chat window that I'm quite hard to hear, but I hope I'm okay, perfect. So I continue. Yes, we what we did a few months ago with the participants of the Hive User Forum is that we walked through today's implementation of the concepts, and we took notes, what's good, what's not so good, and I don't want to go into the details, but as you can see, we colored green items if we like what we see, and red if we said, well, that's not so good, that needs to be improved, or at least there should be a look at that. And yes, as I said, I don't want to go into the details. If you're interested in these details, you could download these slides from the idea campaign that's running in our innovation tool called Ideenwerk, for which we will share a link at the end of the session. Okay, so although I won't go into the details, there are two major aspects that I would like to highlight, and which are major drawbacks for today's implementation. The first is, as you can see on the top of the screen, is the workflow as it is implemented today. For example, there's a draft status, and today it's not really understandable who is in charge in that status. It's both the author of the concepts and also the person who is who tried to delegate the task of creating a concept to the author. So it's not very clear, and also it's hardly understandable what's the evaluation phase and what's the business case that I'm doing here. Okay, so workflow is one aspect that we identified. Another one is that yeah, we have a lot of categorization fields in the concepts today. But to all the customers we spoke to, they all told us that, well, they need to be in charge of the categorizations. We cannot provide any static built-in fields for our customers that they can really use. So all of our customers need a different categorization. So basically what we came up with, the conclusion was that we need to empower our customers to customize the forms for the concepts and also for the business cases. So this is aspect number two. And all the other parts are also interesting, but maybe they are not that important as those aspects. Maybe the third aspect is the general look and feel and the structure of the concept template. So it's very huge, and this is also the part that we try to improve. Okay, let's not talk about history. Let's try to see what we imagine how the future can be. So and how we are suggesting how concepts and business cases should be modeled in the next release, and where we would like to get your feedback. So, okay, we're talking about concepts, and here's the basic workflow that we came up with for the concepts. So we would like to start with a setup phase where the innovation manager, for example, of the person who is creating the concept, or setting up the concepts and delegating some subtasks to other people. So the setup phase would be the status where this person is in charge, and where he also sets the persons he would like to delegate the task to. So he decides who should be in charge for the elaboration phase and also for the evaluation phase. In the elaboration phase, the author would log in and fill out the form that the person before has set up for him, and also for the evaluation phase. So in the evaluation phase, you would evaluate what has been elaborated in the concept before. After that, you want to decide how to proceed with the concept. So you may decide that the author needs to fill out some additional information and rework the concept. So you would like to send it back to the author in that case, or in a negative outcome, you would like to reject it, or you may want to select that concept. And selecting a concept could have two possible outcomes. One would be that you're satisfied, so you would like to stop that process here and just continue any further process, maybe outside the tool inside your organization. Another option for that would be that you would like to continue to create a business case based on the concept. And basically, what we came up with is that, well, if you want to do that, then the process just iterates. The process that we've seen before iterates. So you want to set up the business case as before. You want to decide who is in charge for the elaboration and evaluation phase. And of course, you also want to make a decision later on. Then, if you select the business case, it might imply that you want to continue with innovation projects in Hive Enterprise, or maybe you also have that implemented outside the Hive tool. And yeah, I would like to emphasize that the business case would be optional. So if you're not interested in doing business cases based on concepts, that you won't ever see that phase. Okay, one important aspect was forms. So if we take a closer look at those status like elaboration and evaluation, then their forms play an important role here. So you want to have your colleagues work on specific forms for the concept elaboration, but also for the evaluation. And as I said before, these forms, these are corporate, specific to your corporate process. So you need to be empowered to create those forms. And in order to do so, we would like to give you a new page in Hive Enterprise where you can work on form templates and organize them and use them later on in any concrete concepts or business cases. So you will have a pool of form templates where you can choose from when setting up a concept or business case. Having that in mind, this would allow you to ask for information like similar to techniques like the SWOT analysis, business canvas, or design thinking, and many more. Okay, I believe that was quite abstract for everyone. So the next part of this session would be that we actually walk through the mock-ups that we created and give you a feeling how setting up templates and working with the concepts and business cases would feel like if we would have them already implemented. Okay, so now I'm logging into the tool as Jessica Sanders. She's our innovation manager. She she discovers that she has a new menu item here. It's called concept templates. And as a side note, the structure for our menu or for our manage menu needs to be reworked as well. But let's focus on concepts for the moment. Okay, so I click on concept templates, and now I go to a page where I can organize, I as an innovation manager can organize the templates that I will be using in concepts later on. Okay, so on the page I see that I have two sections. One section is for elaboration templates, and one is for evaluation templates. And keep that in mind, because that might be a detail you want to give us some feedback later on, if this is a good distinction, or if we should all throw all templates in one pool and you decide for yourself. Yeah, just as a side note. So we want to take a closer look at the elaboration templates, especially for, at the pilot concept templates that we want to modify a little bit. So we click on that, and we go into the details of that pilot concept template. And as you can see, we can give it a title, so we can identify the template later on. We can give it also a description. This will also make it easier for structuring and selecting the right template later on if we're selecting templates for specific or concrete concepts. And as you can see, each concept consists basically of a set of fields that we set up. So as we see at the bottom of the screen, we already set up 3 text fields. One is called requirements definition, one is called scope definition, and so on. Then we have keyword fields, a number field, and a checkbox field. And we have a couple of options here for field type. So we can create selection boxes, check field, number fields, keyword fields, text fields, and attachment fields. So let's create a new checkbox field. Yeah, I just clicked on that, and now I fill out a new field for my template. So I'm calling it International Help Desk Support, and we want to know if the pilot can be supported by the help desk. And we decide on the value sets. In that case, for checkboxes, it's always 2 values for selecting from. And we can also give them number values. You might notice that this is the same setup, the same process for setting up new fields as you might be already familiar with from the evaluation visit. Okay. Oh yeah, maybe a small hint that you can also do that in all the languages that have been set up for your Hive enterprise in your installation. So in our case, we could only afford English and German. And we could fill out that in these languages as well. Okay, going back to the template, I could also click on preview, and then I would see the form as it would be shown to the end user or to the concept author when he's in charge of filling that out. Good. The next thing that I would like to do now, so we to recap that, we just set up a template that we can use in concepts. And as we saw, we have a pool of templates that we can choose from. Now I will be logging in as Jessica Sanders again, and we will create a new concept based on an idea. So we are looking at the ideas that we want to create a concept for. And of course, we could also create concepts from scratch. So we do not need to have an idea as basis for concepts, but I think this will be the regular case for many customers. Okay, we're clicking on create a concept. Now we have created a concept, and we are currently in the setup phase of that concept. And this is the workflow that we've seen a few slides before. And Yes, maybe it's time to if please think about if this is the right workflow. So this would be your chance to give us feedback if the workflow is properly set up, or if you need some intermediate step, for example, between elaboration and evaluation. So that would be if you need somebody else deciding should we move on and so on. But I will come back to that later on. Okay, now we are creating a concept. And first thing we do is that we give it a title, and pre-filled would be the title of the idea that it's based on. And we decide on the author who should be in charge for filling out the elaboration, or should be in charge for elaborating that concept. And we can also make some people assign them as co-creators. They will also have read and write access to that concept. And Alexa might be interested in that because she can't do it all alone, or some information needs to be gathered by from a couple of different people. And we inform the author about the objective that we have in mind. So we give him some notes what she should be focusing on. Then we give her a deadline. And then now the new part comes into play. This is we decide on the elaboration form. So now we are clicking on the select button. Now we can see all the templates that are categorized for elaboration. And we can choose any number of templates that should be taken into account when elaborating the concept. And as you can see, the browser that opens for choosing the templates, it gives me some information to make my life easier. So I see the description that I gave that pilot concept before, and I can see also a preview of the fields that are in that template. If I want to, I could click on Open in New tab, then I would jump into that template. So I'm choosing pilot concept and technical feasibility. So I want to have all the fields from both the pilot concept template and from technical feasibility. Okay. So as you can see, I see some quite technical draft here. What I've chosen from the templates. And the same is true for the evaluation. So I'm making Audrey Adams in charge for the evaluation phase. Again, I'm giving her some guidance, and I also chose already from the forms for evaluating that concept. And please, again, a note, give us feedback if this is the right time for setting up the evaluation, or if you feel that this should be decided in a later stage. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm interested in, well, I said it, it shows my templates, and I said I selected 2 templates, but now I want to see how that looks like for Alexa Rivera, who I chose as an author. And yeah, I'm seeing exactly that. I get a feeling how it will look like for her. So I'm seeing 2 sections. One is the pilot concept and one is the technical feasibility concepts, and I'm seeing all the fields from those templates. Okay, now I want to start the elaboration, which means that the author will receive an email. And when Alexa Rivera got that email, she will log into Hype. And when she logs in, she could have clicked in on the link within the email, and then she would have jumped right into the concept. But also, if she just forgot the link, she will also see that she is in charge for creating or elaborating on a concept in her your page. If she clicks on that, then she will also jump into the form for the concept. Okay, this is more or less exactly the form. This is exactly the form that we have set up before, and well, Alexa's job is now to filling out these fields, and of course for her it's a little bit more work than for me. I'm just clicking through the slides here. So she fills out all the fields, and then she would forward the concept for to evaluation, which means that the person we decided to be in charge earlier, she would get an email similar to Alexa, but now Auris is in charge, and she is in charge for evaluating that concept, and she well basically fills out the form that we set up for her earlier as well. Okay, now the next step would be that when Audrey is finished with the evaluation, so she decided on, for example, on legal risk and if it's ready to be reviewed. Now she gives some assistance for the decision making, and now Jessica logs back into the tool, and as you can see that now the concept is in the decision phase, and Jessica can decide on how to proceed now. So she could simply reject the concept. She could decide that it needs to be reworked and sent back to the author. It could be added to some shortlist, but it could also be selected for direct implementation. That would be just a forwarding into the next status. She could also decide to create a business case. In that case, and we will see how that would look like in a few seconds. Or she could decide to create a project right from that status. But we are deciding for the business case. And basically, what we're technically speaking, we're creating a new object based on the concepts. And then the new object is a business case object. And the concept and the business case will be linked to each other. As you can see here, there's a link displayed here. But basically, now everything repeats. So we will iterate over over the same workflow as we did for the concepts. But in that case, but not, we are now in the business case. But again, we are now setting up the form for the elaboration and for the evaluation, and make somebody in charge for that, and then those people will log in and work out the business case. But with the power of the templates that we set up earlier, this is just selecting from the templates that we set up, and then make somebody in charge. So basically, it's just a repetition of the process that we have seen before. Okay, so basically that was the core process that we suggest how the new concepts and business cases should look like in Hype Enterprise in the next release. There are a couple of other things that we would like to discuss with you. One would be how concepts and business cases should be embedded into the campaigns. So we are now looking at an idea campaign, and so the idea campaign is called Finding 2% Savings, and we, as you can see, here's the campaign cockpit that should be quite familiar for you, and there's the list of the ideas. And then we have a new tab here. It's called Concepts and Business Cases, where we would list all the concepts and business cases that have been created based on ideas that have been submitted to this campaign. You could filter them by the status or by type, but basically this would be the place where you can track the progress of concepts and business cases. Okay, so Colin, this would be our first
Yeah, we have a
stop.
couple of questions, I think. And one perhaps clarification point I think I'll add in the background. So just a point on the clarification is that one of the big benefits of some of these changes is that you can essentially have different groups have their own templates for business cases and elaboration, and they can run in parallel. So we're no longer forcing everybody to use the same structure that perhaps existed in the past. So although we always know there's a development phase and there's a decision-making phase, within those there's an awful lot of flexibility. So you could have a particular group with 3 different business cases, all for different purposes. You could have different divisions, all with their own process. And this change theoretically should be able to support that. So a couple of questions. One from Lindy, which is, what is the add to shortlist option? One of the 6 current options for the decision maker.
Right. This was a concept that we were inspired by our HypeGo product. So where you can put some concepts on a list. I'm just going back. I don't know. Did I go too far? No, here. Okay. So basically, you can put concepts on a shortlist, which only means you, as an innovation manager, you will be able to put that on your, I don't know, on your bookmark list for concepts. So we will create a place for you where you can see all the concepts that you have shortlisted, so that it will be easier for you to find them later on.
Great. So we have a question from Andreas. Can the templates be generated specifically per innovation space or per campaign?
That's something we haven't thought on yet, but it's good feedback. Yes, if it's important for you, we need to make that happen. Yes.
Okay. And then we have a question from Roll. Can we allow the campaign participants to mature their idea as a concept and therefore integrate the concept workforce in the campaign? I mean workflow, sorry, concept workflow. Maybe you can see the question as it stands, Dirk.
Yeah, so that would mean that everybody who's a participant of a campaign would be able to create a concept, right?
Actually, maybe it's best for us to take Roll off mute and he can explain in detail.
Yeah, sure.
Hey, Roll.
I'm unmuted, I guess. Hey, hello.
We can hear you now.
Thanks.
Cool. Maybe you can just explain in detail. That'd be great.
Yeah. So what we see is often that we collect a lot of ideas in a campaign and then bring them down to a more manageable number of ideas, and then we want the participants to actually work on that idea to, well, improve it, mature it to a further status so that it actually can be decided upon. And I was hoping that we could maybe use the concepts for that.
That's a good point, and but I would have a question back to you. So if you look at the workflow, how we imagine it to be, so there's a setup phase. Who should be in charge for setting up the forms that should be filled out in that case?
Well, me or other innovation managers in the team.
So basically, each concept of that kind would have the templates pre-selected for that campaign, right?
I guess so. Not sure.
Okay, so maybe.
Why are you asking?
Yes, no, I'm just okay. Again, this is something that we hadn't had in mind yet, but still we need to think about that, and maybe we could discuss that in the idea campaign also to share the thoughts of other participants. So yes, but this is a really interesting improvement to that concept. Yes.
Cool. Thanks, Roll.
Okay.
Okay, so just an observation here from Andreas mentioning that they let their users to mature their ideas within the ideation phase before they get the concept. Yeah, I've certainly seen both of those models executed in different organizations. Okay, so that's definitely an area we'd like to talk more about during the online campaign. Any final questions before we move on a step? Okay, so nothing right now, Dirk, so I think we can progress a little bit.
Okay, perfect. Oh yeah, I need to move forward a little bit to the point where we stopped. Okay, and another important topic is reporting, of course, and being able to search and filter on concepts and business cases. So, of course, you will be able to create KPIs and reports for that, but there's one limitation. So, from Hype Enterprise, you're used to that you will find some KPIs already created by us in the KPI library. However, for concepts where you have the power to create your own fields, we cannot deliver any standard reports because we just don't know your fields yet. So we cannot create any reports for content which we do not know the structure of when we create the Hype Enterprise software. So the good news is, of course, that you will be able to create reports or diagrams like this bubble chart or this table here. You will be able to do that on your own. And for example, you could also use that pipeline explorer. This is how we call the feature. I don't know how you call it. We call it pipeline explorer. You will also be able to see the custom fields that you set up in your in the templates. You will be able to drill down and filter within the pipeline explorer. Okay, that was just a small step, Colin.
Thanks, Dirk. So yeah, we have another question from Lindy, which is around once the concept's been created, could we open it up to a group of participants to comment on it like an idea? So if you want perhaps more than just the authors or the evaluators, could you perhaps have a special community that would be able to comment on that?
Yeah, we expected actually that feedback, and this is something where yes, where we would need to extend the workflow, and yes, that's very good feedback. So if that's an important step in your process, then we definitely need to add that to the workflow. Mm-hmm.
Great. And then a question from Andreas again, asking about whether this concepting phase would also have an integration with the trends and inspirations capability that we've previously released. The observation being that sometimes it's supportive for concept detailing to be able to reference a particular trend or inspiration.
Wonderful feedback. Yes. Again, something we haven't thought of. Yes. Great.
Yeah, so thank you, Andreas. We'll certainly build that into our thinking. Okay, so question from Suzanne. Is it possible to export the report to include it in a management report in any way?
What would be the management report? Because I have.
Perhaps we can unmute Suzanne and she can just explain. Hi, Suzanne. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. So
for example,
yeah, thanks.
Yeah, for example, to include it in a PowerPoint deck.
Okay. Okay, so yes, because when I read report, it could be Excel, it could be PowerPoint, it could be Word. Okay, that might be a little bit trickier for us to do, but we would put it on our list to look at, of course.
Okay.
Great, thank you, Suzanne.
I want to say the management also has to enter Spark to see the report, and then we can choose who we wanted to view it to or share it with?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So yes, the tricky part for us or for our developers would be that we somehow need to be able to move the custom field that you set up in the templates. We need to think of a way how to make that available in the PowerPoint reports. But so I can't guarantee that it will be in the next release, but because it might be a little bit more, it might the effort for implementing that might be a little bit higher.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Dirk, maybe you can just talk a little bit about timelines, what our sort of ambition is for the next release for this concept.
Yeah, so maybe yes, because that was also a question. So here's the timeline that we imagine. So we would like to run the ID campaign until the end of this month together with you, and we will be actively responding to any comments and idea submissions. So yes, and we hope that you also participate actively because we are highly interested in the feedback, like the feedback that we just got in this hour. Okay, then we need a little bit time to review all the ideas and comments that we have submitted, and we gave us 1 week to do that. And then we also need another week to rework the concepts for the concept for new concept based on your feedback. And in the following week, we would like to give you some feedback to your feedback by email, summarizing the campaign results, and also to give you a status update, of course. And then we would already be implementing the new concepts in Hype Enterprise for the next release until the beginning of December. And whereafter we would like to, where we start the quality assurance phase, which is a little bit earlier in that quarter because the holidays are in front of us. Yes, and from January on, you should be able to talk to your consultants and talk about when you would like to deploy the new release on your site.
Great, thank you, Dirk. So maybe we'll just talk a little bit about the online campaign that's running. So I'll just run you through the kind of the key focus areas in here. So there's going to be a link at the end of the session which we'll also send to you all, where you'll be able to take part in a regular idea campaign, but instead of your own, this is one from Hype, from our internal idea management program, Ideenwerk. And it runs pretty much exactly as you would expect a campaign. So embedded in that tool are some seed ideas, which essentially detail the key functional things that you've heard today and the key functional changes. So each area that we've changed has a section for you to go and comment on. But don't just feel that you're just can comment on the things you've already seen. We're also interested in you commenting and sharing your ideas about where you'd like to see this feature going. So the observation, for example, about integrating the trends and inspirations, we'll obviously make a note of that, but please feel free to add that as an idea yourself, because other people may well have observations on that, and we can work on that together. So if you see our proposal, if there's things that you don't believe are helpful, or you wish they'd stayed as they were before, or you think they need to be done a different way, please provide us with that feedback. And wherever possible, provide us with your context, so why it would be helpful for you to do it in a particular way. Equally, if you see something and you think this is great, this is exactly what we need, we also appreciate that feedback. Not because we want to give ourselves a pat on the back, but just to give us a sense that we're heading in the right direction. What we don't want is to release something that's not relevant or hasn't been an improvement in your eyes. So obviously there'll be other clients participating. It'll be a sort of a relatively modest number, somewhere between 10 and 20 or so. We tried to get a spread of different organizations with different types of businesses, so we get different perspectives. So bear in mind that particularly this area of the tool is used very, very differently between, say, a chemical or pharma company to perhaps a services organization or a media company. You'll all have your own different perspectives on where this is helpful or not. So keep an open mind. Bear in mind people coming from different perspectives, but equally, if you see someone else's comment or suggestion and you feel that in your context that wouldn't work so well, let us know. It's not a criticism of the person that's sharing the initial idea or the comment. It's just helpful for us to get an idea of what types of companies require what types of capability. And finally, a key thing for us is priorities. Obviously, within our development team, we have a certain amount of resources, and we need to know how to prioritize those so that if you see something as absolutely crucial, then flag that up as being so. If you see something that, hey, would be nice, but perhaps you can live without it for quite some time, again, just give us some idea about just how urgent a particular capability is. And as I said, wherever possible, if you can provide us with real context as to why something should be done a particular way, it really helps us to be able to sort of visualize how best to make that feature applicable for you. So just to summarize, you'll be getting a link in email which will provide you with an invite to the campaign. There'll be some content already in there, so feel free to get involved. Dirk just ran you through the timelines, so usual behaviors really. Submit ideas, comment, vote. Feel free to reply to other comments. There will be people coming in throughout, so we'll also remind you as we go through when there's a limited amount of time left. So hopefully we get a really great discussion going there, and we'll be able to really use your feedback, and at the end of it you'll get some software that's even more appropriate for your usage. Any final comments, Dirk?
Yes, I would like to thank everybody for calling in, and yes, and I'm looking forward to 2 weeks of discussion and idea submission and ideation.
Great. Yeah, so thank you again from me. We really do appreciate you taking your time, and this is the first time we've run a real proper campaign with clients, and we really appreciate you participating with with the vigor and the energy that you always provide in our in-person forums. So hopefully we'll see this the same again, and if you have any final questions, feel free to put them into the comment box. We'll hang around for another couple of minutes. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your day, and look forward to seeing you in the campaign. Thank you very much.
Halten.